these things in a series that every time you go to office, you know you have to order lunch, you click on it, it picks up your favorite meal of the day, if you're a guy who eats the same thing every day. Then it picks up your meal, Uber Eats, your address, and it only asks you if you want to pay for it through your bank account, which you can actually also delegate to the wallet, right? So this entire UX is going to be very different. We already see a lot of not only retail but enterprise customers coming to us with those kind of use cases, whether it's yield farming, whether it's subscriptions, starting or stopping those subscriptions at an agentic level, so you don't need an army of of administrators in the office to keep on clicking the button throughout the day.
It's a bit funny that we're 16 years, 16 years in this industry, and we're not able to still run batch transaction, right? That's why Sense 7.0 is a big topic. But I think also agents will interact with it in different ways, right? We see already, people going through no interface, API only, and running the discovery is done on a specific way, but I think also the decision making is done very differently, right? Like we literally reveal that our docs with specific kind of primitives for agents to consume, with some different skills, official skills, not kind of like for skills of skills. And I think also one big part would be a model window for agents to spin up things. Because right now, we will have agents spinning up one app a day. The question is how this will be distributed to consumer and also agent to consumer. Great question.
Well, I would like to save some question for our audience. So my last question will be, what will be the killer app you guys see in this era in 5 years? Not 5 years, maybe 3 years.
If we're focusing more on DeFi or very focused on the existing kind of main use cases for blockchains today, I could see beyond just basic trading, which I think one is already positioned very well for with our APIs and the things that agents can do today trading tokens, but building on top of that to a more holistic view of people's entire portfolios. So someone might want a certain amount of stablecoin exposure, and they might want an agent to dynamically go between the different stablecoins based on what yields available. They could want a specific amount of their portfolio available for staked Ether, and this would be which staked Ether derivative they want to have based off of the yields on there. There could be a basket of DeFi exposure that they want, and they might want that to shift based off of the native yield that comes off of those protocols that you can stake those DeFi tokens on. And then you could even have things like social consensus, right? What are people talking about? What's trending? What are people Vitalik saying about the industry right now and the ecosystem right now? So things that may exist today, if you can pay a firm that had enough money who are dynamically doing this for you on your behalf, that's something that agents will probably be able to do in the future, and it would be much cheaper and much more accessible, and potentially bringing the next wave of mainstream.
I think I have a little bit gentle taste of this. We should stop benchmarking this mental set of the Apple Store. It's more like a chain of work. So ultimately, whoever can make this whole experience more seamless. But on the back door, you can still have the already Android as blockchain and AI workflow there. So MedBat is more like agentic agreement with accountability, and whoever makes the whole experience real seamless, that will be the next killer app of, let's see, how to achieve the optimal for users.
I'm not a product guy, I'm not an astrologer. So my thesis is, I think agentic commerce is a very interesting space. And why I think something from there could spin up, which could be a killer app, if you can call it, is because a lot of primitives already exist, right? When I say primitives, there are developers that are building solutions for e-commerce. There are requirements in the e-commerce world which would require something to be proven on chain, right? Whether it's agentic or non-agentic. It will require guardrails. It will require delegation, right? Because I don't think we'll do all these shopping renewals and all of the things that we do today in the same way 6 months from now. Now, why do I think that could be a killer app? Because the revenue models are in place. There are builders, there are consumers, there are suppliers. So all the elements that you need for a successful business already exist. Now, AI, blockchain, these are tools, right? They are not solutions by themselves. They are tools that make your life, that is supposed to make your life easier, better, safer, more private, right? And efficient. That's why I think something in the e-commerce is also less regulatory. If you get into any other stream when we talk about personal data, privacy, or information, government bodies, you get into the regulatory and compliance loopholes, and also the complexities of it. That's why I think something in agentic commerce could be very interesting. I've been reading a lot about it. Dubai government is trying something with agentic travel agents. It is successful, so I would still like to qualify it under agentic commerce so that I sound right and smart few months down the line. But I really think business which has all of these elements successful, the builders, the suppliers, the consumers, the revenue models, in place will be the next killer app, and not trying to build something which doesn't exist at all, which we try to do a lot in the blockchain for the last 16 years, like Francisco mentioned, which is very tough. It's a very long journey.
It's a tough question to answer, right? I definitely think like in the next 6 months, maybe instead of killer app, I can definitely speak about use case. Like today, and I think whoever is in this room and we're speaking about this topic, it's also like 1% of kind of like where the technology is, where the use cases are, or even less, right? Like the reality is that the true PMF in crypto is stablecoin, right? So I'm thinking about use case specific. Today's stablecoin are not easy. I mean, you can transact from one human to another, but I think like we will see more sub use cases where you start delegating a specific action for example, for stablecoin spending, for like this heavy spending use case. And I think especially like in emerging market, we see a lot of like traction for those use cases. Yeah, so I don't know how is the format that this specific use case will be consumed. Could be through like super apps, could be bigger distributor coming in town and activating those use cases in their platform because they have distribution. And sadly, all our discussion is about product. But the big elephant in the room is like whether as distribution is kind of like the right person to play the game in the local market, right? So I think we need also those players, but we also need those players to enable this use case on the right way, right? So I think stablecoin spending, right off-ramping, the delegation of off-ramping authorities to other users, I think that's probably like the biggest things that I would like to see unlocked. And today, I mean, this is the biggest, also like the only biggest use case that got really PMF, right? We saw that with, yeah, we saw that with.
Doesn't change popping up with stablecoin narrative.
Yeah. Then the transaction structure, like story. But the question is also like, will consumer do this transaction, right? I think like we'll start seeing agents, showing up and doing transaction in behalf of the users. We see that already with like very like low DeFi use case, like liquidity pool rebalancing. But also like to tell you the truth, like this has been done since the 80s in TradFi banking with Python bots.
Right.
It's nothing new, right? But what I'm excited about is giving agency, user giving agency without knowing that this is an agent delivering this value to people. I think this is exciting. And I think those consumers will not be part of infrastructure decision, but will be consuming this technology directly. Look at like Flutterwave, one of the biggest e-commerce providers in Africa, that literally announced they will run stablecoin without actually the consumer knowing that it's a Polygon stablecoin technology. They will just run and do payments one-to-one, like similar to a normal neobank. So the infrastructure is changing.
Yeah, you're talking about emerging market. I think that is the peer-to-peer experience. It's not only zero gas fee of the stablecoins, it's the end-to-end payment. How do we smooth the whole process? That for both the agentic payment, agentic commerce. So I think end-to-end is very.
Yeah, the funny thing is that if you look at off-ramping, that's also like one of the biggest PMF use cases of stablecoin. Is this really a product game? Not really. Like merchant relationships is the biggest game of off-ramping because sadly, I mean, POS are. POS are also like it's onboarding of merchants. A merchant are going with the lowest friction solution. So again, we're going back to the distribution and kind of like who know as many merchants that can distribute easier technology to those merchants. So it's also like an economic and GTM and commercial strategy game. Yeah.